There are plenty of good HR systems for UK companies, but they all have strengths and weaknesses. So in this video, we're going to look at 5 of the most popular HR systems for UK companies, what they're good at, and which companies might want to consider buying them. And the systems we will be looking at are Breathe, Zelt, HiBob, Workday, and SenseHR. Starting at number 5, we have Breathe HR. Breathe is a straightforward HR system designed primarily for small businesses. In fact, if you have less than 20 employees and no plans to expand, Breathe is probably the perfect choice. You get all the basic bits you need to digitize your HR admin activities, and it comes at a very affordable price. You may also find that a lot of HR consultants recommend Breathe. Now, this is partly because they get paid a commission for recommending it, but it's also because they tend to handle the HR for very small companies like the ones I described above. However, larger organizations or companies with unusual structures may find that they struggle to do what they need to with Breathe, as it is very limited in its flexibility. And certainly if you have a workforce of 200 employees or more, you have already outgrown the system. So my verdict on Breathe is that it is the best HR system for very small businesses who are unlikely to grow and who just want to get rid of paper files. At number 4, we have Zelt. Zelt is a relatively new HR system that brings HR, payroll, benefits, and even some IT management into one place. It's a great option for small companies who want a single system to handle all of the above. For example, when somebody joins the business, you can add them to the HR system, put them onto payroll, enroll them into the right benefits, give them access to the applications they need, and record which laptop or equipment they've been given. And Zelt is particularly well suited to startups and technology companies where employees are generally desk-based, everybody has their own laptop, email address and mobile phone. However, Zelt may become quite expensive as you add more employees and more modules. Companies with very unusual structures, processes or large operational workforces may eventually find they need more flexibility. So my verdict on Zelt is that it is the best HR system for small, tech-focused businesses that want HR, payroll, and IT administration in one place. At number 3, we have HiBob. So HiBob, or Bob as the system itself is usually called, is a more modern HR platform designed for growing and mid-sized companies. So it's particularly good at employee engagement, company culture, performance management, and talent development. It looks nice, it's easy for employees to use, and it gives HR teams much more functionality than they would get from a basic system like Breathe. I find that HiBob is especially popular with technology companies, professional services companies, and other modern office-based businesses. So if you want to run employee services, performance reviews, and analyze your workforce and create a fairly polished employee experience, HiBob is a strong choice. The downside, however, is that a lot of its functionality is split into different modules, and the cost can start to increase quite quickly when you add everything that you need. It's also primarily designed around connected desk-based employees, so it may not be the perfect choice if large parts of your workforce do not have laptops, company email addresses, or fixed places of work. So my verdict on HiBob is that it's probably the best HR system for mid-sized desk-based companies that place a lot of importance on employee engagement, but it can get very expensive very quickly and it's not suitable for everyone. In second place, we have Workday. Now, Workday is probably the biggest and most powerful HR system on this list. It certainly has a big name for itself, and that's because it's designed for huge organizations with thousands or even hundreds of thousands of employees. So it can manage HR, payroll, finance, talent, workforce planning, and analytics across multiple companies and countries. Workday is also fairly customizable. So if you have a very complicated organizational structure with a lot of unusual processes and a large team of people dedicated to managing your HR technology, Workday can probably be configured to do almost anything you need it to do. However, all of that flexibility comes at a price. So Workday can be extremely expensive, it can be complicated, and it can be very time-consuming to implement. So you will probably need specialist consultants, perhaps a dedicated internal projects team, and some companies take months or even years to configure the system before they get the full benefit from it. For most small and medium-sized UK companies, and even for some enterprises, Workday is simply more than they need. It would be a little bit like buying an airport when all you really needed was somewhere to park your car. So my verdict on Workday is that it is is the best HR system for huge, complex and multinational organizations that have the money and the internal resources and time required to implement it properly. But again, it's not for everyone. And finally, at number 1, we have SenseHR. Now, obviously, this video has been produced by Sense, so you may be wondering how impartial this ranking is. But I'm not going to tell you that Sense is the best system for absolutely everybody, because it's not. If you have 10 employees with no plans to grow and you just need somewhere to record holidays, you would probably be better off with Breathe. If processing payroll directly inside your HR system is the most important thing to you, Zelt might be a better choice. And if you employ 100,000 people in 50 different countries and you have several million pounds to spend on your HR transformation product, you might be better off with Workday. But for the vast majority of UK organisations that have outgrown basic HR software and want something flexible enough to fit the way they actually work, SenseHR is a very clear number 1 choice. So Sense does all the normal things you'd expect an HR system to do. It manages employee records, holidays, sicknesses, documents, recruitment, onboarding, performance reviews, compliance, reporting, everything else you need to manage the employee lifecycle. But those are not really the reasons that put Sense at number 1, because most systems do that. So the first reason is customization. Now, normally, if you want a genuinely customizable HR system, you would have to buy something huge and expensive like Workday. At the other end of the market, you have systems like Breathe. They're cheap and simple, but you have to accept that the way they work is how they're going to work. If their terminology does not match yours, or if their standard processes do not match the way your business operates, you may have to change your business to fit the system. Sense sits between those two extremes, so it's probably the only accessible, customizable HR system available on the market that, yes, it's suitable for enterprises, but it also gives smaller and medium-sized organizations the type of flexibility that would not normally have been available to them, and would, say, 10 years ago have only been available from a very expensive enterprise system. You can create your own fields, screens, terminology, workflows, rules and approval processes. So you can accommodate unusual organizational structures. You can allow for different types of work on different contracts. You can account for complicated absence policies and processes that vary between different departments, locations, or even groups of employees. In simple terms, Sense can be shaped around the way your organization works, instead of forcing your organization to work in the way the software expects. And that makes Sense the best HR system for customization, particularly for businesses that have outgrown basic off-the-shelf HR software, but who do not want the cost and the complexity of Workday. And the second reason Sense is our number 1 pick is because it is designed not just for people who work at a desk or with a fixed workstation. So most HR systems assume that every employee has a laptop or a company email address or a fixed place of work, but that's not how 80% of the working world works. Cleaners, carers, security officers, warehouse workers, factory workers, engineers, construction workers, they don't have fixed workstations. They probably don't have access to a computer during the working day. Most of them don't have company email addresses. Many of them are not allowed to carry mobile phones, at least have them switched on in the workplace. And some of them understandably don't want to download a company application onto their own personal device. So if your HR system can only communicate with people through an email, a web browser, or a mobile app, then you're excluding this huge part of the workforce. Sense is designed differently, so employees can interact with Sense through mobile apps, yes, or through their laptops, but they can also interact through wall-mounted tablets or through cards or fobs. We even have the interactive Sense badge, which is a device that they can clip to their belt or their pocket, and they can interact with their task lists or with their HR information without ever needing to bring their own device to work or have their own company email address. So while most HR systems work best for office-based employees, Sense is designed for everybody, including people carrying out work across factories, hospitals, warehouses, construction sites, and client locations. The third reason Sense makes the top of the list is because of its time and attendance capabilities. Now, systems say that they offer time and attendance, but what does that mean? And also, the clock itself that records their time and attendance is normally built and supplied by a completely different company. So this means you have one supplier for your HR system, another supplier for the clock, and then an integration sitting between them trying to transfer the information. So when something goes wrong, the clock company blames the HR system, the HR company blames the integration, and the customer kind of gets stuck in the middle. Sense is the only HR system on this list that designs and builds its own time and attendance clocks that you can just plug in and off you go. So the Sense Clock and SenseHR, they're part of the same system. There is no third-party integration required to move information from one to the other, which means when somebody clocks in, that information can be used immediately by HR, by managers, automated processes, payroll preparation. It means fewer systems, fewer suppliers, fewer integrations, and fewer places for things to go wrong. The fourth reason Sense makes it so high onto this list, and probably the biggest difference between Sense and every other system on this list, is Sense is the only HR system that can tell you where people are at any given time. So this is something called Sense Presence. It's part of the Sense Workplace platform, and it works with SenseHR. So Sense can tell authorized users where a person is, inside or out. So using mobile phones, Sense badges, and Sense gateways, your organization can actually see who is present at a site, which building or area they're working in, and even where they've been throughout the day. And the clever bit isn't just that you can put people on a map, although you can, but because Sense Presence is connected to the HR system, your time and attendance system, and also your other elements of Sense Workplace, such as Sense Automate, location information can be used to trigger real operational workflows. For example, Sense could help you to find the closest suitably qualified employee to respond to an urgent job. It could automatically alert a manager when someone arrives or leaves at a location. It could help you to confirm that a service was delivered in the correct place, or to create a live fire roll call, or to protect lone workers, or to calculate how much time is being spent at different client sites. Sense is the only HR system on this list that can tell you anything like this, and that can then connect that information with your operational workflows. But one more reason why Sense makes it high up on our list is because it also includes powerful automation and AI. So Sense Automate allows you to turn your HR policies and repetitive manual processes into automated workflows. So, for example, a missed clock-in could automatically alert a manager to check where that person is. An absence could trigger an automatic return to work process. An expiring document could be sent to the employee and escalated if they fail to respond. And then you combine this with Sense AI. Now, this gives you access to dedicated agents who can do things for you inside your HR system. So whether that's answering questions about your data, or whether that's reviewing documents and carrying out work on your behalf, such as scanning expense receipts and uploading them to your expense module, or whether that's checking things against your policies, or whether that's sending documents out for signature to employees based on your typed prompts. The important difference is that all these things are connected. So the HR system, the clocks, the attendance information, the location technology, the automated workflows, the AI agents, all of this is part of Sense Workplace, and that's one of the biggest unique differences with SenseHR and the rest of the HR software marketplace. So my verdict on SenseHR is that it is the best overall HR system for UK companies who need a little bit more than a digital filing cabinet. So if you want customization that's normally associated with expensive enterprise software, SenseHR should be the software for you. If you have deskless employees who don't have laptops, email addresses, or mobile phones, then SenseHR is a very suitable option. And if you want time and attendance clocks that don't need a third-party integration, SenseHR can do that for you. If you need to know where people are, such as to look after them better, to know who's in or out, or to reassign people better throughout the day, SenseHR can do that. So in summary, choose Breathe if you are a very small business that wants an affordable way to replace paper files. Choose Zelt if you're a small technology-focused company who wants HR and payroll in one place. Choose HiBob if you're mid-sized company, largely desk-based, and you really want to focus on the employee experience. Choose Workday if you're a very big multinational organization with a lot of money and resources to manage an enormous enterprise system. But choose SenseHR if you're a UK-based company who wants customization, flexibility, and an HR system that connects all the people in your workplace, regardless of who they are, what contract they're on, and how they work.